Okay, so for starters here, we need to address the, also we're going to be, might have to cut in a couple of times while I'm editing just to make sure that I'm telling the story correctly, because this is going to be a little choppy, probably. So you remember this whole story of redundancy, this whole story of trying to come up with a solution that will ensure I don't get stranded in the middle of nowhere. Power solution, that is. Well, we got rid of the solar. The idea was to, actually I didn't really have any use for that space up there, short of using it for the solar. But anyway, GoalZero. Have you heard of GoalZero? They make the Yeti portable power bank generator things and all kinds of other electrical things. And really big in the outdoor community. They've got a lot of really good high quality products. They reached out to me with the opportunity to put in a more optimized solar system, but also use that solar system to feed an extra layer of redundancy. Maybe overkill, but the whole idea behind it is it's going to feed one of their portable generators. Basically it's a battery bank. Battery bank isn't probably the right way to put it. Portable generator probably is. But it's going to give me the ability to not only have an extra layer of redundancy for power inside the vehicle, but I can also use it to obviously charge other devices, power my laptop, other things that I'm bringing with me, batteries, charging those types of things, should I ever be alone in the vehicle. And also it'll give me the ability to be able to grab that unit and take it out of the vehicle and use it on a desktop or somewhere place else remotely. I mean, you wouldn't backpack with it, but it's more portable, if that makes sense. Interestingly enough, their headquarters happens to be here locally in Salt Lake. Gaps. Okay, what are the gaps? I mean, you already know the context. We're at GoalZero. The whole idea is redundancy, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to break out this Yeti 1400. It's not their big Mac Daddy, like biggest Mac Daddy portable generator. I think there's like a 3000 or something like this, but this one is like, I mean, in all fairness, it's actually way more than my needs. It's an awesome unit. By the way, this was filmed like back in February. Did you see all the snow?
Do you know if Justin had the link? I saw him walking around with one in his hand. And all you need to do is turn it off and then turn it right back on, and it'll reset the port. Okay. Obviously, if you leave the device plugged in, it might just trip it immediately again. So if we do have something that has too much of a surge or is too powerful, it's unplug it and then reset the port.
What are these two little plugs for?
Those are our 6mm plugs, essentially made for our light-a-lives. Okay. So a couple of our 12-volt lights, camping lights and stuff. And I love it because some of our competitors have put 6mm barrel jacks on there as the 12-volt plug. Right. We're like, what's that for? And we're like, we don't know, you guys did it. And we're like, we only did it for our product. So did you put that on for our product?
Right.
I guess so. Solar's gonna go in here. The link, actually, we're gonna remove this compartment and put the link in, and we're gonna install it right there.
Oh, so then it plugs in down in here.
Yes.
Okay, so this right here, this is the Yeti Link. So what this does is this ties everything together in terms of like this entire unit communicating with the vehicle's electrical system, power system, and then also kind of ties in the solar. And so the way it works is basically this unit right here, it screws in, there's a whole module here that comes with the Yeti that they pull out, it's like a blank. And then there's a panel under here, and there's actual dedicated wiring on the underside of this, and then it connects to the Yeti portable battery generator thing. And then there's a port right here on the front, and then you plug your solar into this. So solar comes into this, plugs into here. That's how it charges this system. There are two modes on this Yeti Link. There's like a regular mode, and there's like, I don't know what they call it. It's suitable for vehicles, because what'll happen is this entire battery device will drain the system batteries if it's not put in the vehicle specific mode. If it is, it only will input charge into this system if it's above a certain voltage, if that makes sense. How does power come out of here into the system?
That cable right there is essentially, we're gonna plug that into the back of the link, and then we're gonna tap that onto our distribution bus over here.
So then will that come out the front or the back?
And so that'll come out the back.
Okay.
And that's going to allow us power from the alternator to go into everything.
Okay.
Now, if we actually...
So this goes into positive, this goes into negative ground. So 3,000 watt surge, what does that mean? Does that mean if something needs 3,000 watts to get started?
Yep.
How long will it surge for?
It's a patented stepping surge. Okay. So it's something like, I think it can actually do a 5,000 watt surge for like a microsecond. And then, 2 microseconds, it can do 4,000, and then 3,000 is whatever the acceptable surge standard is.
Gotcha.
So most things won't surge up that high if it's within a 1,500 watt range. Really old crappy fridges will, some chop saws, but otherwise, I mean, you can run most of your garage tools right off of that. So 1,500 watts on that inverter is pretty strong. Our next one's going to be a 2,000 watt, a little bit stronger, to make sure that we have all the tools in our wheelhouse. We do have some USB-C PD. So this one over on the far left that actually says 60 watts on it is a power delivery port, whereas this one is more just a standard USB. You can kind of think of it that way. So if you do have a laptop or
I've got a new MacBook Pro that's got the USB-C. I don't even need that for that now. I just go right in here.
Plug
Same
straight
thing
into that guy.
That new iPad. Got nothing but that one stupid. At least they give me an audio port, but they don't even. They took that away too in the new iPads, which I didn't know that. Honestly, if I'd have known that, I probably wouldn't have bought it.
You can either charge your device or you can listen to stuff. It's a beautiful.
And I got wireless headphones, but it's like sometimes I just want to listen to the.
Yeah, that's how I am.
Apple. Stop taking away our plugs. When I'm not using and it's out of the vehicle in between trips, for instance, is it best to leave it plugged in and just let it stay charged, or does it matter? Okay.
Yeah, so that's probably the best thing you can do is whenever you're
storing, just plug it in.
Yeah. Okay. And then you know that it's good to go. What we do see every once in a while is where we're sitting at 100% right now. If we leave it plugged in, essentially there's going to be a parasitic draw that's slowly pulling the battery down of just having this LED on or having
it's not plugged in
that are looking for stuff. If it is plugged in.
Okay.
So as that wants to draw down, sometimes the charge controller won't engage until it hits a certain voltage and knows that it can actually put in a substantial amount of power.
Okay.
So sometimes you'll be plugged into the wall and you'll still see, why is my Yeti only at 95%?
Okay.
That's fine. That's to be expected. If it drops to a certain threshold, then it'll start charging itself. But we don't want that charge controller always coming on and off just because it can put in a half a watt. Other than that, it's about as intuitive and plug and play as we could have made the thing. So.
So I get asked this all the time. What brackets are you using to mount your solar panel? The brackets that GoalZero had, they're actually great looking brackets. And I think that probably 90% of the time they totally work for whatever the application is that you are using it for. The problem that I had is that they were going to put the solar panel probably like 2 inches above the rack. I mean, it was really going to be sitting up there. And I think that would be okay if it was like on top of an RV or something like that, but being on top of, like my small 4Runner in comparison to an RV on top of the rack, I really didn't want it like setting up that high. That was personal preference. Maybe it's better that way. The brackets I ended up using were just like some generic solar panel brackets. If you go on Amazon and you just search for like vehicle solar panel brackets, they'll come right up.
Dave Rausner with GoalZero, and we're here with Jason from 4Runner, and we're installing a Yeti and some solar on his 4Runner so he can go out and have a good time. Pretty much, we're gonna tap this Yeti 1400 lithium power bank into his system so that we can charge both his cabin battery and the Yeti off of the alternator and off of solar.
My name's Jason Kirchie. I've got a YouTube channel. If you just search for 4Runner, you'll find it there. We are also on Instagram. And so I think he kind of summed it up here. The whole idea here is to build a little bit of redundancy into the system that I've already kind of put together. Just wanted to make sure that I had plenty of power to power our batteries, our camera gear, our refrigerator. We've got a variety of power needs, and I wanted to make sure that we didn't kill our start battery, right? Because I don't want to be in the middle of nowhere and end up getting stranded. So that's kind of the overarching goal here. It's all about redundancy. Redundancy.
The word of the day is redundancy.
That's the word on the street. So what's going on is the only brackets that they had to mount the panel we're going to put the panel about 1.5 inches above the rail, this side rail of the rack. And I just didn't like that. I'm afraid that it's going to make noise. Maybe it won't, but I'm afraid that it will. So what we were trying to do is we had a hole drilled in the bottom here. We were trying to run the bolt directly up through the bottom here, through the rail. You just can't get to it. I mean, short of taking the rail off, taking these rails off, you just can't get to it. It's like impossible. And we've literally been fumbling around with this for an hour. I think the best solution is to just mount it as easily as possible. So we're going to go back to the brackets. It's going to sit high. I'm going to bring it back as far as I can on the rack. And then he's actually running up to the shop to see if he can find any L brackets, anything. The actual powder coated brackets that they've got to match the hardware, they're just big. And his explanation was that they want a little bit of circulation around the panel, because if the panel gets too hot, it loses efficiency. It's not really an issue given the fact that it's mounted on a roof rack. Okay, so we have a solution. Here's the big brackets. The big brackets that we were talking about right here. They're really tall. That was basically, like I was saying a second ago, I was gonna sit it pretty high up off the rack, but he found these brackets up in the warehouse in the shop, and they are a much slimmer profile, and actually these are the same brackets that I was using for the last solar setup that I had. The other plus is that the wire that's going to be going through the back, see, my old solar panel had 2 wires firstly going back, and they were pretty thick and they were pretty like stiff. This is, I just need one. Everything's going through this one wire, and so it's going to go from this excuse me, it's going to go from the solar panel. I don't know where we're going to run it through. I guess through that grommet is probably the best place to put it, like I had in the old solar setup, and then down the side, and then it'll go into
Finished installing the solar panel, and now we have to run the wire inside to where the Yeti's going to be so we can solar charge the Yeti, and then we're all the link cable. So this guy plugs directly into the back of the Yeti where the link is attached, and then the rest of the cable goes off to his distribution box for all of his 12-volt devices. Essentially, his cabin battery has a feed that gets charged from the alternator, comes right back here. So if we tap in back here, we don't have to run a cable all the way across the vehicle, and then we can plug it right into the Yeti. So now the Yeti also gets an alternator charge through the cabin battery, and the cabin battery also gets a solar charge through the Yeti. So with the Link, we have 2 options here. Is we can have it in car mode or non-car mode. Essentially, when we put it into car mode, we're preventing the Link from siphoning too much out of your starting battery so that your car might not start. Essentially, it has a cutoff voltage of 13.3 volts, so only when the car is on will the Yeti pull anything from the lead acid system. The way to activate and deactivate car mode is to actually just take a little paper clip, and we've got a little hole right here, a little reset button on the top of our link. If we push all the way down, when we push into it, we can see this guy scrolling up here. If they're scrolling individually, it means we're not in car mode. If we go down, and we have to push it 4 times, so 1, 2, 3, and 4. So when we do that, and all the lights blink together, it means that we've activated car mode, and now this battery will not siphon from the lead acid system unless it has that charge voltage. So it's gonna keep your vehicle batteries a little bit healthier, a little bit safer, a little better peace of mind that you're not gonna have a dead battery next time you get in to start your car. So both of them have their pluses and minuses. For this situation, we're gonna leave it in car mode so that the front batteries are always healthy, and the Yeti is only taking when there's too much power available, essentially.
Looks like it's not going to really rub.
Yeah.
I might need to make some adjustments there at some point in time, but it looks, all in all, looks good. I think that's it. Let's start it up and see what happens.
See how she goes.
So all in all, what do I think about the whole GoalZero Yeti setup? I mean, I love the whole thing. If you're looking for like a simple way to kind of integrate everything in like a modular fashion, this is a really good way to go. One of my favorite things about this, even though I've never quite done it this way, is the portability. I mean, you wouldn't put this thing in a backpack. I just mean like at a campsite, if I need portable power, I can pull this thing out by just unstrapping it and just put it wherever I want. Now, to be completely honest, this is way more than what I need. So I've used this for the last several months. I think, well, we did this in February. I've gone on several trips, and I know that you haven't seen anything about them unless you've been following me on Instagram, because I'm like sorely behind, and that's another story. But I'll tell you what I've used this for. So I just installed a WeBoost, their latest, greatest, fancy pants, you know, top of the line, whatever. I love that, by the way. Got some more information coming on that soon. But I use this, I plug this into the 12 volt, so I can just leave it running all the time and not have to worry about it draining my system battery, even though it like hardly drains at all. I also use this for charging my camera batteries. There are other solutions to charging these batteries out there other than using like the native Canon, like whatever. But you know, I've spent the money on the nice Canon LP E6 in battery packs because they do last quite a bit longer. But I found that using the Canon batteries on just the cheap generic 12 volt chargers that I found on Amazon, I think they kill the battery too. And I have found the best way to keep the battery life the best, and there's probably other solutions out there, but this really works. And I literally just leave this plugged into there. I leave one plugged into there and I'm always charging it. And actually that's worked out just fine for me. I also use this to charge other devices. Yes, I can use the vehicle's USB and 12 volt that I put in there to charge you know, iPads and iPhones and stuff like that. But I use this top storage place. I keep an Apple Watch charged in here firstly, and then I also charge the GoPro batteries. See the little GoPro battery thing? That fits up there just fine, and then I use this also to store, you know, extra little charging cables and stuff. And this is kind of a wreck because it's all plugged in and usually just goes up here in here, and there's a little slot that you can run it into. But that's what I find myself using, how I find myself using this the most. And so when I say that this particular setup is overkill, it really is probably overkill. Now, if I wanted to power a fridge, and that was kind of the thought behind going with a unit this big, is that I could have backup power for the fridge. but I haven't needed it. The Yeti Link only works for the Yeti 1400, the Yeti 3000, I believe the Yeti 1000. And so I'm going to be talking to them about possibly going to a smaller solution that's more tailored for what I would actually use it for. But the Yeti Link, in conjunction with the solar and the way all that works together intelligently, I really am happy with, and I really like it. I think it's a good solution. So there's just a lot of capability, and GoalZero is a company, if you're not following them, they're doing a lot of really great things. They've got a lot of really great products, super high quality stuff. AJ with 4Runner with AJ. He works with them quite a bit. And then not to mention the fact that I have a host of other products that I use from them, including this Sherpa 100 AC. And AJ had this, and I looked at it and I thought this was the coolest thing ever. And I pretty much take this with me everywhere. It lives in my bag, which I call my man purse. It's kind of a giant man purse, but this thing goes with me everywhere. I've got everything that I could possibly need in this whenever I'm traveling that would last me for a day or two. I usually have 2 or 3 days worth of clothes. I don't even bring a suitcase with me when I travel back to Florida anymore. I just put everything in there. This thing is really cool. You've got 2 USB ports. You got regular AC power here, and then you get 2 USB-C, which are becoming more valuable by the day. I plug my iPad directly into this. I can charge my laptop directly from this. You know, you can turn on the power and you can see, you know, right here, it's got 99% power left. And it shows you when you have power coming out or coming back in. Plus, and this is one of my favorite things, this right here, it's a wireless charging, Qi wireless charging thing. So I can just take this, turn on the wireless charging, put my iPhone on top, and boom. One of the other things that I've got from them, I've got these crush lights that you've seen on my Instagram and you'll see in future videos. They're awesome, I love them. And then I have these other little lantern looking lights. I've got 3 of them and they plug directly into their proprietary port that I was talking about earlier in the video. And they've got a hook that's also magnetic, and they daisy chain. You can daisy chain a ton of them together and just string them all around your camp. Those are super awesome. I use them almost every single camp. That's one of the things I find super invaluable about this is that I leave this in the car, strap it down, plug in those lights, run them around the back hatch of the 4Runner, and then I've got the crush lights around the camp, and then those usually go up, 1 or 2 of them go up into the tent with us. And so this whole GoalZero Yeti crush light charging thing, I mean, it's like, these are charging battery power solutions that honestly I couldn't live without. It's some of the best quality product on the market. I've been super duper happy with it. If you have any questions, let me know. You can always DM me on Instagram. It's probably the fastest way to get a hold of me. Leave a comment below if you have any experiences with these. I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate you watching. And someday we're gonna pick things back up. Life has been super busy, but life is good and business is good and everything's good. So we're just really having a good time. Yeah, that's about it. Make sure you subscribe. We'll see you in the next video.